Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, no matter where you are in the world. Welcome back to the Thai Expat Daily Show. I'm your host, Kieran Mack, as always, and delighted you've been able to tune in with us yet again for another evening show. It is Sunday, the 7th of January 2024, and as always, delighted you are here. Now, before we get into today's show, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like this video, and hit that notification bell so that YouTube will let you know when the next podcast is uploaded or comes on stream in terms of the live stream. Now, if you like listening to us on a podcast player, we will be downloading this later on this evening, and then that'll be uploaded onto the various players across the spectrum. And finally, if you want to support the show, if you like the show, if you want to help us out, if you want things to improve along the way, you can do so by a couple of ways. Firstly, down below in the description, there's a link to buymeacoffee.com. You can go in there and you can buy us a coffee. Secondly, you can hit a super chat and you can donate to the show through the super chat when we are live streaming. And we've also started a membership for the channel. I think it's 100 baht a month. And for that, you get a little star beside your name during the live stream, so people will see that you're an actual member, and there will be some emojis that you can use, and there'll be some other perks for you as a member of the channel, but that's all in due course. And also one other thing, look what we got today. Just came in the post, a beautiful Thai Expat Daily mug. It will go on sale eventually, not sure when, but it just arrived today. They're beautiful, good quality too. So now that that's all done and dusted, we are going to jump into the top stories trending here in Thailand, and we'll come back then to the comments in the chat at the end of the show. And good evening, Gordon. Nice to see you again tonight, sir. The first story, Phuket tour bus driver dumps tourists on the roadside, leads police on a wild chase, ending in a crash. Say a tourist bus caught on fire in Phang Nga following a crash after a driver dumped tourists on a roadside in Phuket and drove away, leading police for a chase of over 70 kilometres. The Phuket police told the Phuket Express that on Saturday they were notified from a tour company in Phuket that a bus driver left tourists for apparently no reason at a shop in Kathu. He also allegedly attacked a company staffer who tried to stop him from speeding away with the bus. This led the police to being called to pursue the bus. The bus was heading to the north of Phuket and had recently exited the Phuket checkpoint into Thai Muang district of Phang Nga. The Tha Chachai police followed the bus, and the bus crashed into a power pole on the roadside in the old market, catching fire. Firefighters were called to the scene to put the fire out. The driver, who was not injured, tried to run away, but failed and was finally arrested. He was speaking in circles and, as of press time, is being tested for illegal drugs. His name was not released to the Thai press. It is unclear why he dumped off the tourists and what started the whole altercation. And that's a very strange story. I spotted it today. So basically, he got really annoyed. He had a fight with one of the staff. He kicked everybody off the bus, and then he headed off with the bus. I guess he thought he wasn't going to get caught, but eventually these things all come to a sad end. By the way, it's good to see that the police over the last few weeks, I've noticed, have not been giving out names of people and putting their pictures up and all this kind of thing. You know, I think even at the beginning when you're caught, you have a certain amount of privacy before that stuff is released to the press. And that's obviously to make sure that the correct person is in custody and stuff like that. It's far too often that we've seen the police here in Thailand particularly like to parade suspects out in front with the pointing fingers and all that. And I always found that a little bit distasteful. So it's good to see that they're having a little more, there's more rules and regulations, I guess, being enforced along the way. Now we're going to move on to another story that was spoken about last night, and I've done a little bit of research and found a story about it. But the new Clean Air Bill eyes transboundary haze. So it seems like maybe not from Thailand. The Clean Air Bill will be introduced this year, according to the Department of Pollution Control. Pinasak Surawadi, the department's chief, said the cabinet recently approved the bill, drafted by a committee chaired by environmental academic Bunton Sarisarat. The bill combines points from the previous bill on clean air and highlights measures to prevent pollution from many sources. The bill will be submitted to the Office of the Council of State, the Ministry of Natural Resources and the Environment, and the Cabinet, and then the Parliament. We expect the bill to be passed into law sometime this year because many parties agree that clean air is an important issue. We need the law to control air pollution, Mr. Pinsak said. Now, a National Committee on Air Management will be set up which will declare measures to control sources of fine particle matter smaller than 2.5 microns or PM2.5. Offer economic incentives to reduce haze pollution and effective methods for air quality reports. He added the bill has put more importance on transboundary haze pollution, saying that any owner of a source of haze pollution outside Thai territory is regarded as a wrongdoer inside Thai territory and must pay damages. The ministry has been working with the Ministry of Commerce to implement a regulation banning the import of any products from Laos, Cambodia and Myanmar that could cause farm fires leading to smog or PM2.5. Images taken from satellite technology will be another crucial tool for finding culprits. Such a practice will be implemented after the bill becomes law. Meanwhile, the Minister of Agriculture and Cooperatives will encourage farmers to change from burning farm crops after harvesting to other methods, such as turning crop residue into landfill or fertilizer under so-called good agricultural practices. He added the other measures would also help to improve the situation, including efforts to switch to electric vehicles and the use of a better quality fuel under the Euro 5 standard to be implemented as of January 1st. Pollution from PM2.5 is expected to peak from January to March. Most of the capital hotspots are caused by transport. Meanwhile, 70% of Northern Province pollution is caused by forest fires. The Forest Authority plans to hire locals to take preventative measures against illegal burning in the forest, Mr. Pinsak said. So this is the new bill that will be coming into law hopefully soon, because I think it's very well needed, but January to March. So I mean, I can't see it taking much effect as of this year. So I think the people of northern provinces are going to be inundated with more smoke-filled skies again. Also, I think it's a little odd that they're going to hold people outside of Thailand responsible and somehow find them. I just don't. I mean, you can't even find the people in your own country. How are you going to find people in Laos or Myanmar? So a little bit of wishful thinking there. It'll be interesting to see whether or not they actually follow through with a lot of the law, because I think what we've seen here in Thailand is there's definitely plenty of laws in the country, but not so many that are implemented, I guess, and these kind of things are very, very important to the overall well-being of Thai people here in the country. So hopefully something does come about it. Now, the Prime Minister, I've heard him talk about it a few times. He seems quite serious about it, and he knows it's a problem. He also has it in his manifesto from when they're running for office. So it's something that they've promised the people, and of course you're not going to keep getting away with it, saying you're going to do something election after election and never doing it, So we'll see if this new clean air bill has some effect. I just can't see anything happening between now and the next couple of months, so I can't see it taking any effect. There's also, I think, as Skip last night mentioned, it's also about education and educating farmers to alternatives on whether or not they're going to be able to, do that. Thank you, Gordon Duncan. Very much welcome you to the Thai Expat Daily Show. But nevertheless, as Skip was saying, education is very, very, very important. So these kind of things are certainly something we'd like to see followed up upon. But nevertheless, I'd love to know your opinion on it all. Do you think this clean air bill will have any effect? I'd love to know, as always, your comments down below in the chat or the comment section down below. Now, finally, a story that I've kind of been waiting for the last few months. It's a story that's been building up. We've kind of known about it, but Cholnan signs bill banning recreational use of weed or marijuana. And we've known about this story for a while. The Phua Thai Party, Move Forward Party, pretty much everybody who was not in the last government were against recreational use of weed. And it's no surprise that it's going to be banned again, but as you might expect, it's a little grey in a few areas. So let's go through the story and talk about it after. Public Health Minister Cholnan has signed proposed legislation regarding cannabis, emphasising that it cannot be used for recreational purposes. The new law will clearly stipulate that cannabis must be used for medical purposes only. It would also encourage the use of cannabis for a range of health benefits, the doctor said after signing the bill. Now, regarding the use of cannabis for recreational purposes, there will be a clear measure to control and prevent this. The measures may come in the form of ministerial regulation passed by the Cabinet or from a panel, he said. If the Cabinet approves the principle of the bill, it will be submitted to the lower house for consideration. Now, regarding a regulation by the Thai Traditional and Alternative Medicine Department, which lists cannabis as a controlled herb, the doctor said he might need this to be revised if it contradicts the new law. Now, whether the buying of cannabis will require a medical certificate or not has not been included in the bill just yet. This may have to depend on the enforcement of organic laws, he said. But using cannabis at home for medical purposes must be based on correct medical procedure and research, he said. Now, asked about the impact on these multitude of cannabis stores, the doctor said there has been no such laws set to revoke licenses for running legally registered stores. But once the law is put in place, cannabis stores must sell only the parts of the cannabis plant that are deemed legal here in Thailand. Under the Narcotics Code, only products containing over 0.2 THC, that's cannabis' main psychoactive agent by weight, will be considered illegal. The doctor also said the law, when it's passed, will help police capture those who wrongfully use cannabis for recreational purposes. That's basically the current situation. So it's fairly clear that banning it is what they're going to do for recreational purposes. But they go on then to say that'll be for medicinal purposes, but will you need a prescription to get it from your doctor? Then they say the shops can continue to be open as long as they follow the law. I just don't see how this is actually going to work. It seems very, very confused to me. You either can sell it or you can't. Now, recently I was on a small little trip to southern part of Phuket. I was in Rawai, and I was buying some delicious food, by the way, from a very good shop, Food for Foreigner, I think it's called. They have some lovely bits and pieces in Phuket, you know, if you like some nice sausages or rashers or whatever. Anyway, I'm not plugging them, by the way, I'm just saying it's a good spot. But on my way back, I couldn't help but notice a massive sign on the side of the road for a weed shop, openly selling and openly advertising 25% THC in their cannabis. Now, that's clearly against the law. Now, the sign, by the way, it was nearly billboard style, so you couldn't help but not miss it. And I thought to myself, that's completely illegal. But of course, here in Thailand, everything is, obviously this cannabis shop has no problem to advertise the fact that they're selling things that are illegal. But openly on it, 25% THC they had written down. So it'll be interesting to see how they're going to control this. They're saying they can still stay open as they can only and continue to sell, the legal parts. But I don't know. I've been doing some research. Less than 0.2% THC is not getting you high. So what are tourists going to buy when they go into these shops? Because that's the reason they really opened it. So you have all these shops all over the country. It'll be interesting. I'm just confused about the law. Either you can sell it or you can't sell it. And if the shops are only open for one particular reason, to get you high, that's it. So if they're not going to be able to sell cannabis that gets you high, then they're going to have to close, right? Or that would you think would be the thinking. But I'd love to know, guys, what you think about that too. It's like it's if they just can't make a decision on it. We all know that the previous government and the name of the guy, the health minister at the time, Anutin Charvakul, he was the one who made this whole mess. He decided they decriminalize it, they took it off narcotics list, but they created no laws. And in fact, after it had become legal to use, they had to create laws because in a panic, they didn't realize that they had created no laws. You could literally smoke marijuana in a school and you could get away with it because there was no law to stop you. So they made a quick law and an act to basically to control the smell of it. And that was the basis of where it came from. But yeah, no laws, nothing. Now they're trying to rein it in. But of course, you have this huge industry that popped up because it was deregulated. And this is what you're left with now. I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of marijuana and weed shops coming on the market in the next couple of months. But we'll keep an eye on the story. As I said, it's very grey. It's not as if they thought, right, let's make it banned. That's it. These shops need to close. If you want to get your THC or your whatever, you'll have to go to a hospital and it's dispensed somewhere with a prescription or something like that. But that's not what they've done. Now, moving on to the final story of the day. Doctors have sent a report on Thaksin's illness to the corrections department. Yes, Thaksin's still in hospital. He's been doing well now. He's been there since, what was it, about August. So September, October, 4.5 months. The Justice Minister said that doctors at the Police General Hospital have sent a report on convicted former Prime Minister Thaksin Shinawatра's health to the Director General of the Corrections Department. After receiving the report, he explained that the Corrections Department Chief will call a meeting of doctors attached to the department to consider and confirm the report before it is submitted to him. He said that the doctor's full report about Thaksin's illnesses is confidential and protected by law and therefore cannot be published, but some general information can be disclosed because this is a matter of public interest. Thaksin has been treated at the Police General Hospital since his arrival in Thailand on August 22nd and has been there beyond the 120-day limit for an imprisoned convict. If he is to be allowed to remain there, special permission from the Director General of the Corrections Department must be granted based on the doctor's assessment of his health. Now, regarding a report that members of the House Police Affairs Committee, led by Democrat MP Chaichana Det-jo, will visit Thaksin at the hospital on January 13th, Toei said he is yet to receive a request from the House panel, adding that the Corrections Department has regulations covering prison visits. A special Corrections Department panel is in the process of drafting guidelines for the screening of prisoners who may qualify to serve the remaining terms outside prison as part of the department's attempt to ease overcrowding. So whether or not you're kind of like a supporter of Thaksin or you're against Thaksin, this does come across as what most people would have thought, exceptionally shady. You know, he turns up on August 22nd and suddenly that evening he's rushed to the hospital. He's very ill and he has to stay in that nice VIP ward on the 14th floor. Fair enough. The week before he was in Hong Kong, the week before that he was at the Prime Minister or the President of Cambodia's birthday party with his sister, and the week before that he was in Dubai. So he wasn't that ill. But I mean, I think most people can see through a lot of this, you know, and what's going on. Now, this whole thing about the screening of certain age prisoners who are being deemed, you know, that they could serve the remainder of their prison sentence at home. Now, suddenly they're saying, well, Thaksin should be able to get that and, you know, be able to serve the last 16, 15 months of his prison sentence at home. You know, I just think it sent out the wrong message also in terms of there's one law, or the law applies, there's one set of laws for, you know, the rich, and there's a set of laws then for everybody else. And I think that is the wrong message to send out here. Personally, in relation to that new law and that new regulation, I think you should have had to spend some time in prison and serve some of your prison sentence to be able to avail of, you know, finishing off the remainder of your term at home. I don't think he should be allowed to qualify for this already. He's already got a big royal pardon. You know, I think it was, how many years? He gets 7 or 8 years off and he has a small amount to serve. So, you know, if he wants to be able to apply for it, I think there should be a regulation that you've had to serve some of your term at least in prison and done some time for your crimes. Of course, it's not finished for Thaksin. He still has pending cases against him. So, I mean, these can all go against you too, as we see from what happens to the Move Forward Party. Speaking of the Move Forward Party, they have their big day, I think 21st of January, 22nd. Will the party be disqualified from being a party? So that's the Supreme Court will make that decision, and then Peter Lim Janarat, he will find out about his case with the media shareholder and whether he'll be disqualified from ever running for political office again. And these are two very big cases coming up, and that can have a very big impact on the political landscape here in Thailand. So that will be coming in the next couple of weeks as well. If Peter does manage to escape and they believe his story, he will return to Parliament as the leader of the party, and that's already been spoken about and confirmed. It would be nice to see him back because I actually think he's a good guy, and I think it's good to have him in politics. You need people who are young, you need people who have different ideas and have a vision as well. But nevertheless, that is the 4 stories for today. Now, let me have a quick look down through all the various comments. Gordon, this is from Gordon Duncan now, there's still a hell of a lot of misinformation about the tax this year. Also, since this year has already started, should the Thai government not directly tell expat the facts instead of telling them zero? Now, Gordon, this is for people who are listening, this is in relation to the new tax laws that came into effect January 1st. And by the way, they apply for your income from January 1st of last year, 2023. And Gordon makes a very, very good point. It's so vague. There should be rules, regulations, system for you to be able to calculate what and what not you'll have to pay. But it's exactly what you'd expect, complete chaos. My hope is that this just doesn't apply to expats, that this is merely designed for. But, you know, it's hard to know. Well, only time's going to tell. But I actually agree completely with you, Gordon, on this. They should have told people there should be rules and regulations out there so we know exactly what people have to pay in the future. Norbert, good evening. And Tulamili, how are you, sir? Welcome to the channel. And Gordon Duncan, thank you for being a member. I really appreciate it. And I'll let you know when those mugs go on sale. I'm from India. Hello, sir. Good evening from India. Wow. Nice to have somebody from India listening. Bushman UK, good evening, sir. Nice to hear from you. Gordon said it's the same as the do not tax many people in their own country but want to tax foreigners. Yes. No, the clean air bill will have no effect. I live in the northeast and the farmers do not care. That's from the Gordon. And I think that's part of the problem, Gordon, as well, is that a lot of people just don't care. Maybe from a lack of education in relation to the damage that it's doing. But Gordon makes excellent points here. Norbert says, I sadly agree. I have seen, and then according to Gordon, I've seen 40% THC online and the lowest I've seen is 10%. And this exactly is what I'm talking about, Gordon. You're right. As I've said, I saw 25% openly being advertised. Now, how many times did the police pass by there and just go, oh yeah, they shouldn't have that. But let's see, are these shops going to be shut down or not, or will they continue to thrive? And finally, Gordon's last comment, Thaksin is a former police officer. He'd be treated well. No corruption in there. Ha ha ha. Oh, I asked Gordon, I know look, I think nobody, and as soon as everybody heard he was coming back, I think most people understood he wouldn't be serving any time in prison. I think we all kind of know that. But nevertheless, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning in tonight. As always, delighted you were able to share the show with me. Now, as I said, once again, if you want to support the show, there's lots of ways to do it. I greatly appreciate the help because it'll help me get new equipment and be able to do more with the show. I noticed a few comments about the show about different things. Well, why don't you do it like this? Or your sound should be better like that. And there's comments like this. And look, I appreciate everybody's kind of feedback. But, you know, at the end of the day, I do this by myself. I have to edit things by myself. I have to set up everything by myself. I know people said, oh, why don't you do it like Tim Newton does? Tim Newton does a great show. And I really like Tim Newton. Okay. Really great. But I think he has somebody else helping him as well, which is another thing as well. So, and Tim's been in the media a long time. He's dealt with cameras. He's dealt with equipment. You know, he's been doing this a long time. I've been doing this since 2020 at home. So I try to bring what I can to you. I try to bring interesting stories that what expats would like to hear each and every day. And look, guys, as the live streams get better and more popular and things start to happen more, and it'll only happen, guys, if you listen, if you share, if you like the videos, and if you do all that stuff, we will certainly get better and better. And it'll give us the opportunity to make things a lot more professional in the future. But nevertheless, guys, thanks as always for tuning in. Oh, sorry, Gordon. Before I finish, your Gordon was good before too. Yeah, I might go back. I might try to do 2 shows a day, Gordon, now, just before I finish up. I have been thinking about doing a pre-recorded show in the morning and then doing a live stream in the evening. But let me get myself together for that because I need a bit of time to do that too. I actually have a job as well in the middle of all this. But nevertheless, thanks for tuning in, folks. We'll chat again with you tomorrow evening at 7 o'clock. Have a